There comes a moment in every soul's life when the heavens themselves cease to spin, and you feel it. You feel it in your chest. You feel it in that heavy silence of 3 in the morning, when everyone else is asleep and you are the only one awake, staring at the ceiling, with a restlessness that no one around you can name. If you are here, at this exact moment, listening to these words, know this: it is no accident. You have been guided, and Michael is now alerting you through this message that your time to shine is near. But he requires one thing of you first. He requires that you understand a truth you may have spent your entire life ignoring. You have spent years asking, years praying, years waiting for a sign, an answer, a miracle that never arrived as you dreamed. You started to doubt God, to doubt your own faith, to doubt yourself. You look at your life and ask in silence, if God loves me so much, why am I still going through this? And today I have come to tell you a truth that few dare to teach. The reason your life isn't changing is not because God doesn't hear you. He hears you. He has always heard you. The problem is that you're asking from the wrong place, from the wrong state of consciousness. Because there is an ancient spiritual law, as old as the universe itself, that the great masters called the law of assumption. And this law states the following: you do not receive in your life what you want. You receive what you feel you already are. You don't attract the money you need. You attract the feeling of scarcity that you've carried within you since childhood. You don't attract the love you dream of. You attract the feeling of loneliness that has become your I am. That is why you pray, light candles, fast, and life remains the same. But today all of that will change, because Michael did not allow you to get this far for nothing. And if you are feeling right now a shiver running up your spine, a strange urge to keep listening even when reason tells you to close the video, pay attention. This is not suggestion. It is the Spirit confirming that this message is for you. Many have come here, heard and ignored it. Others stopped, listened to the end, and today they share in the comments that their lives were split in two, a before and an after this day. There is a calling on your life, an ancient calling, dating back to your childhood, when you already felt things no one else felt. You were chosen to protect your family and the lineage that runs through your blood. And that is why I have prepared a powerful digital book for you. It is called How to Know If God Will Save You in the Final Judgment, a material that reveals the signs God sends to the chosen ones, Michael's warnings, and the path for you not to be surprised on the day of the final encounter. The link is pinned at the top of the comments and in the description. Download it now. This content may be removed at any time. Those who read it changed. Those who ignored it, wait. Comment, Amen, I receive, to seal this word in your life. Now listen with all your attention. Your subconscious, what the ancients called the deep heart, is the soil where your entire life grows. Everything that exists in your external world today, absolutely everything, your bills, your relationships, your body, your career, is a direct harvest of what was planted in that soil. And if your life is stuck, it's because the seeds within you are old seeds. Seeds of scarcity, of rejection, of this is not for me. Seeds that may not even be yours. Perhaps they belong to your mother, your grandmother, an entire lineage that carried the weight of lack and passed it on to you without realizing it. You wake up in the morning, still before opening your eyes, and the first thought that comes to mind is, my God, how will I pay that bill? And at night, when you finally lie down, the inner dialogue begins at a volume no one else hears. I can't. I don't deserve it. It always happens to me. There's the program running. There's the seed being watered. That's why, even if you pray morning, noon, and night, your electromagnetic field continues to vibrate at the frequency of lack. And the universe obediently keeps delivering exactly what you feel. Not what you say, what you feel. Because, and this is science, it's quantum physics, scientists from the HeartMath Institute have already proven your heart emits a measurable electromagnetic field, thousands of times stronger than the brain's, and this field carries the vibrational signature of your dominant emotions. That's why the ancients said with authority, feeling is the secret, because feeling is the only language God, the universe, and the fourth dimension understand. And this is where the law of assumption comes in. Assuming is not pretending. Assuming is occupying. Occupying the state of consciousness of the person who already has what you desire. You need to say, with divine authority, I am prosperous. And I am is not a motivational phrase. I am is the name of God within you. When Moses asked for God's name at the burning bush, the answer was, I am that I am. And that same presence dwells within you now. And if you're hearing all this and feeling like something is finally clicking inside your chest, don't let that spark die. There is a responsibility for your life that goes far beyond yourself. Your family needs you awake. That's why I've prepared a powerful digital book for you, How to Know If God Will Save You on Judgment Day. The link is in the description and pinned at the top of the comments. Download it today. Tomorrow may be too late. Comment, I am ready. Now I will teach you the most powerful technique ever revealed to the world, a silent, intimate technique done between you and God. There is a portal that opens every night in your own home without you having to pay anything. A portal between the third dimension, the world you see, and the fourth dimension, the world of states, the world where everything already is. And this portal is called sleep. At that moment when you are leaving wakefulness and entering sleep, at that moment when you are no longer fully awake, but not yet fully asleep, there is a narrow, short, but absolutely powerful passage. In that instant, your subconscious is open, absorbing, receiving any feeling you bring to it like moist soil that accepts any seed that falls. The vast majority of people bring the weight of the entire day to their subconscious before sleeping. They bring the fight with their husband. They bring the worry about their teenage son. They bring the fear of losing their job. They bring the thought, I have to pay this bill tomorrow and I don't know where I'll get the money. And then for the next 8 hours, while the body sleeps, the subconscious takes these feelings and multiplies them, roots them. And the next day, these same feelings sprout as external circumstances. You wake up and things continue to be bad, not because God has abandoned you, but because you watered the wrong seed during the night, with your own hands. Now imagine if you reverse that. Before you go to sleep, you close your eyes, and you create a scene, a short, specific scene that implies your desire has already been fulfilled. If you want prosperity, imagine yourself receiving an envelope with money inside. Feel its weight in your hands, smell the paper. Feel the smile of your spouse across the table saying, "We did it, thank God." Feel the tears of relief streaming down your face, that good cry that comes after holding it in for so long. Stay in that scene, repeat it, feel it, fall asleep within it, like falling asleep in a hug. And what happens? Your subconscious accepts it as absolute truth, and it begins to build, silently, all the necessary bridges for it to manifest in the visible world. This is what Neville Goddard called the bridge of incidents, a series of coincidences, encounters, and opportunities that begin to happen in your life to lead you exactly to what was planted. You've lived this before even without knowing it. That time you were desperate for money and someone you hadn't seen in 10 years called you offering a job. That time you were alone and out of nowhere, without looking, a relationship emerged. That time healing arrived through a path no one expected. This is not luck, it's the bridge of incidents. It's the universe rearranging itself under the order of God within you to materialize what you assumed in the invisible. And here is the common mistake that nullifies almost all manifestations. Pay attention now, because this is what I promised to tell you at the beginning of this video. Most people create the scene, plant the seed, feel for a few minutes that it's possible, and the next day they start to uproot it with their own hands. They wake up, do the visualization in the morning, feel a brief peace, and at noon, when the bill is due, when the bank manager calls, when the child cries, they go back to feeling despair. They plant at night and uproot at noon. They pray on their knees in church and then spend 2 hours complaining in the WhatsApp group. They say, I am prosperous, and 5 minutes later say, this life is impossible. And then the bridge of incidents that was beginning to form unravels. It goes back to zero. That's why persistence is the key that no one wants to use. Persistence in feeling, persistence in the state of consciousness of the fulfilled desire. It doesn't matter what your eyes see, it doesn't matter what the bill says, it doesn't matter what the doctor stated. You persist in the feeling, in the I am, in the correct inner dialogue. Because the inner dialogue, what you tell yourself all day long without realizing it, is the continuous prayer that rises to the throne. You can spend 5 minutes praying out loud with your hands raised, but if all day long your inner dialogue is, "This is impossible. I knew it would go wrong. I wasn't born to win," guess what? God, obedient to your real will deliver. Exactly what you repeat most in silence. God doesn't choose for you. God respects your free will. And your free will is expressed not by the mouth, it is expressed by feeling and by inner dialogue. And if you are beginning to understand now that your entire life has been a faithful mirror of what you felt inside, understand this. This is no ordinary video. Michael is visiting you through these words. There is a decision being weighed upon your life at this very moment. You can close this tab and return to your usual life, or you can take a step. That's why I prepared the powerful digital book for you. How to Know If God Will Save You at the Last Judgment. In it, you will discover the 7 signs God sends before changing the life of a chosen one, Michael's warnings before a great awakening, and how to use the law of assumption aligned with faith to cross this passage without falling. The link is pinned at the top of the comments and in the description of this video. Thousands of people have already downloaded it and written to me saying it was as if a veil had fallen. This material may be taken down at any moment by spiritual decision. Do not test God's timing. Comment, "I received this call and follow me to the end." There is a place within you, beyond time, beyond space, beyond even the laws of common physics you learned in school, where everything already is, where you already are prosperous, where you have already been healed, where you have already been loved, where your family has already been restored, where your children are already walking on the right paths, where your bank account already reflects abundance. This place is what Neville Goddard called the 4th dimension. It is the world of states. It is the world of assumed feelings. It is the world where I am reigns supreme. And here is a mystery that the great masters hid for centuries, hidden on purpose, so that only those with ears to hear could find it. The 3-dimensional world you see before you is merely a projection of the 4-dimensional world of your inner feelings. You do not change the projection by tampering with the external projector. You do not change your life by running more, stressing more, working more hours. You change the projection by tampering with the inner film. And the inner film is your state of consciousness. Let me give you practical Brazilian real-life examples so you understand in your heart and not just in your head. Imagine a housewife in a small town in Minas Gerais, married for 22 years, adult children, and she is suffocated. Bills are tight on all sides. Her husband lost his job 8 months ago. The youngest son got involved with bad company and spends his nights out. She cries every night with her face in the pillow so her husband won't hear. She prays, lights candles, goes to church every Sunday, but nothing changes. Do you know why? Because every time she prays from the state of desperation. She says, "Lord, help me because I am sinking." And the universe, obedient, delivers more reasons for her to feel like she is sinking. Now imagine that this same woman hears this message today, and she decides that from now on she will pray from the state of solution, not from the state of the problem. She closes her eyes and imagines her husband coming home with a job offer better than his previous one. She feels joy filling the house. She gives thanks before receiving, just as Jesus gave thanks before multiplying the loaves. She goes to sleep feeling her husband's embrace, saying, "God is faithful, woman. He is faithful." And she persists. A week, 2, 3, and suddenly a phone call. An old colleague of her husband's who had disappeared resurfaces, offering a position in a company she didn't even know existed. It is the bridge of incidents forming. It is the 4th dimension folding over the 3rd. Imagine now a 47-year-old man, divorced for 3 years, who feels that love will no longer knock on his door. He looks in the mirror and sees wrinkles. He sees fatigue. He sees failure. And his inner dialogue all day is, "No one will ever love me again. I missed my chance. Now it's just work until I die, take care of the kids, and that's it." And guess what the universe delivers? Loneliness, every single day, one cold bed after another. Now imagine that this man starts today, right now, a new inner dialogue. He begins to look in the mirror, even with shame at first, even feeling silly, and says with growing conviction, I am loved. I am desired. I am a blessing to an extraordinary woman God is preparing for me. He persists, even if he feels ridiculous, even with his head saying, "This is nonsense." He persists, and his state of consciousness begins to change within. He starts walking differently, smiling differently, responding to WhatsApp in a different way without the previous neediness. And suddenly a woman in the most unexpected place, at the supermarket, in the work elevator, in line at the bank, catches his eye. And the story begins. The fourth dimension folding upon the third, the invisible giving birth to the visible. Now imagine a family that has been estranged for years, a son who doesn't speak to his mother, a sister who doesn't forgive, a distant father who only shows up at funerals, and the woman of this family, the silent intercessor, the one who carries everyone in her spiritual arms, she cries and asks God to restore. But she asks from the state of hurt, from the state of unresolved resentment, from the state of, "He will never come back, I have already lost my son." And the universe, respecting her feeling, delivers more distance. Silence on the phone. Birthdays without visits. Now imagine that she receives this word today and does it differently. She closes her eyes every night before sleeping and imagines her son hugging her at the door of her house. She smells his hair, that scent only a mother recognizes. She feels his heart beating with hers in that hug. She feels the warm tears rolling down her face and wetting his shoulder. She feels the "Forgive me, Mom" coming from her son's lips. She persists. She lives the scene every night with faith as if it were already real. And the bridge of incidents begins to be woven. A strange dream her son has on a Tuesday, a restlessness in his heart, an old memory from when he was a child, an unexpected call, a real reconciliation, with tears, with hugs, with "I love you, Mom," after so long. The law of assumption operating exactly as God designed from the beginning of principles. And here is a truth that needs to fall into your heart like a heavy stone. God is not late. God has not forgotten. God has not abandoned you. God is waiting for you to change your state. God is waiting for you to get out of the victim position and occupy the position of heir. God is waiting for you to stop begging for what he has already given you and start possessing with the authority of a child. Because the kingdom, Jesus himself said in plain words, is already within you. It is not out there. It is not in the future. It is not after you deserve it. It is within, now. In this second, you hear me. The issue was never about God giving. The issue was always about you receiving. And to receive, you need to enter the state of consciousness of one who already has. But the enemy, the one who steals, kills, and destroys, knows this better than most believers, and he acts in your mind in a silent and sophisticated way. He plants the inner dialogue of doubt. He plants the "this isn't going to work out for you." He plants the "who are you to believe this?" He plants the comparison with neighbors, with cousins, with colleagues at work who seem to be winning. He plants the fear of judgment from people around you, who will say you've gone mad if you start to truly believe, if you start to change. And that is why persistence is a war, a holy war. A war of which Michael is the commander-in-chief, and he was sent to fight by your side. But he can only fight for you, with you, if you raise your sword. And your sword is your "I am." Your sword is your assumed feeling. Your sword is the scene you build before sleep and defend with tooth and nail during the day, even when everything outside screams the opposite. Now I want to teach you something that will seal all of this in your life. There is a practice called revision. Neville Goddard called it that. Every night before you sleep, you revise the day that has passed, but not the way it happened in harsh reality, the way you wished it had happened. That argument at home. You rewrite it mentally. You see the scene again, but now with harmony, with a hug instead of a shout. That "no" you received at work. You rewrite it. You see the scene with a "yes" instead. That contraction in your chest when you looked at your bank statement. You rewrite it. You see the statement with the number you desire appearing clearly on the screen, and you live it with feeling, and you sleep within it. Why does this work? Why is this seemingly silly practice one of the most powerful there is? Because the subconscious does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined with feeling. To it, everything that arrives with emotion becomes memory, and every memory becomes a seed, and every seed at some point bears fruit. If you plant an orange, you harvest an orange. If you plant abundance, you harvest abundance. If you plant love received, you harvest love received. God is just. God is unchanging. God operates by eternal laws. And these laws are not for others. They are for you too. And here comes the most important part of all. What happens when you start living like this? When your inner dialogue changes? When your state of consciousness rises from the ground to the kingdom? When your I am aligns with truth? Your frequency changes. It changes truly in a measurable way in your body, in your electromagnetic field, in your gaze. And when your frequency changes, everything around you begins to rearrange itself. People change. Some disappear because they no longer vibrate with you. Others appear because now they truly resonate with you. Opportunities change. Coincidences begin to multiply almost embarrassingly. You begin to be mistaken by some as lucky, by others as blessed, and by some even as dangerous, because you no longer fit into the little box they wanted you to occupy for the rest of your life. And this is a sign that the passage has begun, a sign that Michael has cleared the path before you, a sign that heaven has silently begun to respond correctly. But be careful, because the greatest temptation at this delicate moment is to look at the first signs and doubt. It is to want the final result before it's time. It is to want to pull the seed out to check if it's sprouting beneath the ground. Don't do that. Persist. Persist in the feeling. Persist in the I am. Persist in the invisible. Because the invisible is the womb of all that becomes visible in the world. And what is gestating, if you don't interrupt it with doubt, will be born in due time. And it will be born with the force of 1,000 winds, with an undeniable quality that will silence even those who doubted you. Let me tell you something that almost no one teaches, but which changes everything. When you persist in the state of consciousness of the fulfilled desire, your brain begins to produce new neural connections, new roads within your head. What once seemed impossible begins to seem natural. What once caused you anxiety begins to bring you peace. And this internal change is reflected in your face, in your gaze, in your posture, in your voice. People begin to treat you differently without knowing why, because they are responding to your new frequency, to your new electromagnetic heart field vibration. What the Bible calls the renewal of the mind is exactly this, a deep reprogramming of the internal operating system. And when this reprogramming happens, external life obeys. It has no choice, because the external is always a result of the internal. And here I will give you another key, one that most modern masters do not teach. Anticipatory gratitude. You don't thank afterward. You thank beforehand. You thank for the job before receiving it. You thank for the healing before seeing it manifested in your body. You thank for the restored relationship before the phone rings. Why is this so powerful? Because gratitude is the highest feeling a human being can access. And when you access gratitude for what has not yet come, you are declaring to the universe with the strongest language that exists, that it is already yours. You are closing the portal. You are ending the wait. You are entering God's time and leaving the time of the flesh. And it is there, at that point, that miracles begin to accumulate. Now a final truth before we close this passage together. You are here listening to this now because you were led, not because the algorithm is good, not because the thumbnail caught your attention. You were led. Michael chose this channel, chose this message, chose this exact moment in your life to reach you. And if you've come this far, endured until this point, it's because there is a mission over your head. Perhaps you are the chosen one of your family to break the curse of scarcity that passes from generation to generation like a cursed inheritance. Perhaps you are the one who will pray differently, feel differently, live differently, and change the entire lineage that comes after you. Perhaps you are the silent intercessor, the one who carries the weight, the one who holds on to faith when everyone around gives up. And if it's you, and something in your chest is confirming that it is, then you can no longer ignore this calling. You cannot go back to spiritual sleep. Let me remind you of something that needs to be etched in your chest. God's time is not the time of the clock. It's not the time of the calendar. It is the time of the assumed feeling. When you enter the state of consciousness of the fulfilled desire and persist, time collapses. What would take years to happen can happen in weeks. What seemed impossible bends before you. Because the law of assumption knows no external obstacles. It only knows states of consciousness. And the state of consciousness is the only thing over which you and only you have absolute control. No one can enter inside you and change your feeling by force. That is yours alone. That is your most sacred power, and that is why the enemy works so hard to steal your feeling. Because he knows that whoever controls your feeling controls your destiny, and as long as he can keep you in despair, in fear, in anxiety, he wins. But the instant you reclaim your feeling, the instant you say, "No, I choose to feel gratitude now," even without seeing it, he loses, and the kingdom advances. So I want to challenge you now here before this video ends. Starting in the next 24 hours, you're going to begin. You will choose one desire, just one, the most important one in your life right now. And you will do 3 simple but absolutely powerful things. First, during the day, every time negative inner dialogue appears, that I can't, that it won't work, that I don't deserve, you will immediately replace it with a declaration of I am. I am prosperous. I am healthy. I am loved. I am victorious. I am the chosen one of my family. Second, before you sleep, without fail, you will create a short scene that implies your desire has already come true. You will enter that scene with all your senses, smell the scents, hear the sounds, feel the touch, and fall asleep within it as one falls asleep in a warm embrace. Third, you will persistence, regardless of what your eyes see the next day, regardless of what others say, regardless of how long it seems to be taking. You will persistence for at least 21 days. And if you persistence for 21 days without breaking, you will begin to see the bridge of incidents undeniably forming in your life. And here is the promise, it's not mine, it's his. Ask and you will receive. Knock and the door will be opened. But the true asking was never of the mouth, it's of the feeling. And the true knocking was never anxious insistence, it's calm persistence in the state of consciousness of the fulfilled desire. If you truly understand this, in your chest and not just in your head, your life will not just change, your life will completely transform. And you will look back in a few months and say to yourself in tears, how did I live so long without knowing this? How did I spend so many years suffering for nothing when the key was inside my own chest? Michael has reached you today. Not tomorrow, today. Your time to shine is near. It's not near for next year. It's not near for when things get better on their own. It's near for now. It depends only on you. It depends on what you will feel starting in the next 5 minutes. It depends on what you will declare when you open your eyes tomorrow morning. It depends on which I am you will occupy when the bill arrives, when the child cries, when the husband complains, when the body tires. It is there in the midst of the fire that the true I am appears. It is there that those who only heard are separated from those who truly received. And if this message touched you, if you felt that pang of recognition in your chest, that feeling of, this is for me, this is for my moment, know this, it was not by chance. You are the chosen one of your family to break the cycle. That's why I prepared the powerful digital book for you, How to Know If God Will Save You in the Final Judgment. A material that deepens everything revealed here, with the signs of the chosen ones, the warnings from Michael, and the path of assumption aligned with faith. The link is pinned at the top of the comments and in the description of this video. Download it now today. Tomorrow may not be the time. Today is. Comment, I am the chosen one I receive, to seal this word over your life. And may the peace of the Most High, the protection of Michael, and the certainty of I am accompany you from now on. Today, tomorrow, and forever. Amen.